Welcome to the Spirit of a Badass, where we celebrate stories of courage, hope, and resiliency. I'm your host, Alecia Jacobson. Hello, badasses. Welcome to today's episode. This episode is coming out at the end of, May has ended. It's the beginning of June, and that means that school's getting out. This 2 weeks that school gets out because my kids, we have 4 different schools, and they have staggered end dates. I had one that got out last Thursday, so a week ago today. 2 that are done today, and then 3 that are done next Thursday, I believe. I don't actually plan too far in advance because I have to just deal with what's in front of me when it comes to this. But this one is actually easier than the going back to school because you need all the things for going back to school. And this one is at least a little more chill, but I usually forget a couple of things like stray days that I don't have childcare or things like that. So far, so good. So I hope that you are hanging in there and have all your plans laid out for what you're going to do for the summer. Maybe some fun things happening. I don't really have too much planned. I have, one of the things that's coming up is the FreshStart program, which is what I'm going to be talking a little bit about today. Nutrition is what our topic of the day is. And so I have that program, which will be fun. And then as far as summer, we're not doing a whole lot. We don't have any real trips planned. My kids have stuff. Well, I guess I'm going on a trip with my daughter for volleyball here in a couple weeks to play in a tournament in Florida in June. I kind of wish they could do that differently and we could maybe go, say, in January. But we're going in June. This is her second year playing club ball. And our first time going this far away. I have always said my life is not really designed to have this sort of life experience in it, this travel, club, any sports, but she has a love for volleyball. So I make the things happen as we do, make it happen. But we have that coming up. But other than that, it's mostly just coordinating my children's activities. And we're not really doing anything as a family, which I'm okay with. I feel like we've done a lot of trips and things like that. So I'm kind of thinking about, what memories can we make close to home? And we're going to stick that way this summer. Nothing too big. I feel like there's been enough bigness happening. So we're going to keep it on the chill side. But today we're talking about nutrition and the 3 things that are probably keeping you stuck. So if you are listening and you have either in the past struggled with nutrition or you're kind of in that rut with nutrition right now, where it just sort of pisses you off and you kind of feel like no matter what you do, nothing works. You've tried it before. You've tried all the things and nothing works. And this is just the way that you are. This episode, we are going to demystify and pull back the curtain on the things that are keeping you stuck. And I invite you, I have my Fresh Start program that begins June 11th. And we will meet on Zoom Tuesday. So June 11th is a Tuesday. So 4 consecutive Tuesdays at 11 o'clock Central for an hour. And we will meet as a group. I will have a teaching lesson, and then it will be open up for either small group breakouts or one-on-one kind of coaching from me. There's so many benefits by listening to somebody get coached and having that dialogue, kind of getting it out of your head. So we'll have that. There's a workbook that you will get, modules each week that you get. And we're talking about mindset. We are talking about the things that you need to be eating. So that's one of the things that gets confusing. We're talking about meal prep, emotional eating, all of those kind of hiccup points that sticking points, maybe. I guess it's not a hiccup point. What the hell is that? Oh, golly. We're going to be talking about all of those things. But here's the thing. It's only $99. Like, this is a steal. And I intentionally made it kind of a no-brainer because 1, it's summer, but 2, I wanted to give this opportunity to as many people as possible and take that barrier of price and not have that barrier there for you. And sometimes the summer can get busy where you're like, well, if I'm paying for something, I don't want to be missing part of it. But when you break it down, it's $25 if you like look at it by session, which it's not because there will be so much more in between. But let's just say that because that's how most people's minds go to it. $25 a session, and you are going to get so much more value than the $25 and the $99 that you put in, way more value. And it's all going to be recorded. So you will be able to, if you miss one, you have an event or your kids have something or traveling, you will be able to go back and listen to it, watch it, and then complete the exercises that we will do in the modules. Any work that we have, you will be able to do that so that you can stay on course and, take it with the group, even if it's when you are traveling. So this is one that I just want to put out there to everyone to really invite you in to my world. And I would love to have you join and just kind of oh my goodness, words are hard. Get your toes wet, dip your toes in. Both things were coming out of my mouth at the same time. And just kind of have the experience of what it's like to have a different mindset around nutrition and food. And that's what we're going to talk today, is switching your mindset up around nutrition. So today we're doing 3 things that are possibly keeping you stuck. And I know these 3 things because I work with hundreds of women, and these are patterns that I have seen since I started working with women way back in 2011. I see these repeated all the time. I hear the same things over and over. So I have a lot of sources to pull from, and also seeing over the years what has worked, what doesn't work, and how can I support you in making progress, knowing that, okay, here's what I've seen repeated over and over again with women. So the first one is all or nothing thinking. And if I just hit you right in your heart, then this is for you. If you were like, oh, hand raise, I am definitely an all or nothing type of person, then listen up, turn that volume up, because this is for you. And you don't have to be that way. And here is an even like wilder thing. You can be that way and think that way, but you don't have to do it all the time. You can kind of pick and choose, because if you are, in the place where you have that black and white all or nothing thinking, and nutrition has not worked for you, meaning you're eating shit that the next morning you feel guilty about, or you're kind of obsessing in your mind all the time about things, then clearly what is currently happening is not working. So why not try on a new way of thinking and release that all or nothing pattern? And how this shows up is you are either all in or you're all out. And there's this intensity behind being all in. It's like maybe there's 10 things and you're doing them with such intensity. Your nutrition is like 100%. Your exercise is 100%. You're getting up early in the morning and you're getting all these things done, and you're, doing meditation, and you're just like, go, 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 hard, hard, hard. And then about 2.5 weeks in, you burn out, because doing 10 things at 100% when you were previously doing 0 things at 0%, that's a recipe for fucking disaster, and it doesn't work. And that is what all or nothing thinking does to you. It burns you out. It creates exhaustion. It creates a feeling of being defeated and that something is wrong with you, that this is your fault, that look at all these other people can do it and I can't. And why can't I do this? What's wrong with me? Well, there's nothing wrong with you, but there is something broken about the way that you're thinking. But you've likely been modeled or shown that you have to be 100% all in. Maybe when you were in school, college, or your work, you are 100% and you don't fucking make mistakes and you have your shit taken care of. And if you have that mentality and you apply that to other things that maybe are more difficult for you, or maybe you've got some emotional shit going on and you use food to comfort that, then we have an issue, because you have these two kind of colliding experiences, life experiences where, well, I am just good. I do things the right way. I do them right and 100%. I don't just go half in with this. Well, this is hard because I have all of these life experiences that I've had where maybe I've used food to cope, and I can't do 100% with that mentality. And then you have this sort of power struggle, and you can muscle it out for a good 2 weeks. That's easy. You can do that, but it's not a lifestyle. And then you just feel like a failure, and you're like, well, why can I be so good in these areas of my life, and then this area I just can't get it? It's just different. There's underpinnings to it. There's a current of emotion that runs underneath it that we have to take it away from 100%. And we need to take it away from, I have to do all of the things, to let's start with one thing. And instead of doing it 7 days a week, let's start with one thing and do it 3 days a week. Now, if you are this type of person, you're like, well, fuck that. Why would I do that? That's not going to make a difference. If it's not 100%, it's not right. It's wrong, but it's not. If you can consistently do one thing 3 days a week, and how I work with people when I do one-on-one coaching is I'll have you do that for 2 weeks. And once you do that for 2 weeks and you come back and you're like, well, that was easy. It didn't necessarily feel good because I felt like I should be doing it the other days. I felt like I should be hitting my protein goals on the other days, or I should be doing this. We're not doing that. We're not shooting on ourselves. You do it for the 3 days. You do it consistently for 2 weeks. And then guess what? We'll bump you up to 4 days. And I guarantee you, after that's week 3 to 4 of doing 4 days a week, that's going to get a little sticky in there. It's going to feel uncomfortable, but it's going to be way more achievable than if you were doing 7 days a week, because that's a lot. There's no break from it. And you haven't established this habit yet. But once you come back after the 4 weeks and say, I did it. I did it. I did it every day that I said I was going to do it. Guess what? That's called confidence. That's called building trust with yourself. You are thinking differently. You are teaching yourself to know that when you say you're going to do something, when it comes to nutrition, that you're going to show up for yourself and you're going to do it. And you've proven to yourself that you can. Now, likely, this is the space where I would say, okay, we're going to go another 2 weeks. If you feel like you can go 5 days, but maybe let's just stick with 4. Maybe the second week you can do a 5-day. But really creating that consistency and that pattern and getting really comfortable being uncomfortable, not doing things 100%. It's adjusting that mindset of what 100% is. Because if you say you're going to do something 3 days a week and you do it 3 days a week, that's 100% of what you said you were going to do, you did. But so many people think, okay, if I'm all in, that means that I have to be kind of wearing this 100% of the time, which is just not true. It's only true if that's what you make to be true, but it's just made up. It's not real. You're just creating it to be your reality. But if you say, I'm going to do this, you switch that mindset around that all or nothing thinking, you will absolutely be successful. It's just switching what you think is 100%, shifting that, and reimagining, where am I working towards? A lot of people either want to feel better in their body, meaning their gut does not feel well, they're bloated, their joints hurt, or they generally want to see some weight loss. And with both of these things, there are common denominators, eating enough protein, eating enough fiber. Are you getting too much sugar? And all of these things we're going to be talking about in the Fresh Start 4-week nutrition course. And how can you slowly start to integrate these things and start to crowd in the things that are helpful, and that naturally just crowds out the things that are unhelpful. But doing one thing at a time and really adjusting what your viewpoint is on that all or nothing thinking, and seeing like, okay, where is this showing up in my world when it comes to nutrition, and how am I putting these rules these rigid lines on nutrition when really, like, who fucking made them up? It's just made up. It's just maybe something you've heard or something that you think must be true, but it's actually not. It's 100% not. You can do whatever you want to do. You have that power. You don't have to follow anybody else's rules, because if somebody else's rules are not going to work for you, then it just doesn't work for you. You're not going to be successful. So why not create a structure that actually works for you and with your life versus one that it's just going to fail. It won't work because it's too rigid. And it's really being in that uncomfortable space of not giving what you perceive to be 100%. It's switching that, because as soon as you do that and you are okay being uncomfortable with that, slowly that muscle will be flexed and you will get better and better and better at that. And then guess what? You're making change happen because you have developed a new skill that you can actually create habit change around a place where you have previously been unable to do it. So that's number one, really working on eliminating that all or nothing thinking. And sure, if it works for you in some places, but if it's clearly not working when it comes to nutrition, then you need to do something differently. The second thing that is probably keeping you stuck is information overload. This comes in many, many, many forms. Often the kind of roots of it lie in what you were modeled growing up, what this is the shoulds. They come in, well, I should be doing this. I'll give you one, which it's kind of a silly example, but I was a runner in high school. I did track and cross country. Shout out Oregon CC. When we were in cross country, our meets were usually on Saturday mornings, and on Friday nights after practice, one of the families would host a spaghetti dinner, and there would be spaghetti and garlic bread and all these things, right? So because I equated running with being healthy and thinking, okay, if this is healthy, then they're obviously going to feed us healthy foods, I thought that I just needed to eat spaghetti. Like that was my meal. Nobody said, oh, we're carb loading so that you have energy for tomorrow. They never connected. And if they did, I clearly wasn't fucking listening. And my, 15-year-old mind did not connect those things. So as I got older in my 20s, I remember eating these lean cuisines. Oh my gosh, the things I did. They were like lean cuisine spaghetti. They were actually really good. I loved them. I ate it like every day. But I also then would go home and eat pasta. I had no idea that I should probably have some variety, even though when I like my mom made things that, had variety. It's just, I really kind of put all my eggs in the running is healthy for you. So the spaghetti must also. Now that's a silly one, but it was something that I did for years after. Other things that I have heard people say, it could be with snacking. And here's another one. My mom is very healthy, meaning she wants to be eating foods that are healthy for your body. And when we would want a snack, her kind of response a lot of the time was eat a carrot. Well, I don't want a fucking carrot. And I think that actually had an impact on me, because then I would go to my friend's house who lived across the street. She had Captain Crunch. She had all of these snacks. And also my other friend, they just had all of these like snacks, sugary cereals. And we didn't have any of that. In my house, we had ice cream, and that was pretty much it. I don't ever remember having snacks, like some chips and salsa, but that was pretty much the extent of it. No sugary, nothing. And I would go there and I would just binge because it wasn't something that I had access to. And that was a habit that I don't think, probably 5 years ago, maybe, is when I finally was able to break that habit. And even so, my parents now, they have all sorts of damn snacks now. I just realized that. What the hell? I'm going to have to call them out on this. But they have like peanut M&Ms and like Costco size. And so when I would go to their house, the first thing I would do, and I would think about it on the way there, because I also in my house as an adult just wouldn't keep those things in my house because I had no self-control. I would binge on them as soon as they were around because that was my pattern with them. So as soon as I was going to my parents' house, I would go in there and take a fistful of these peanut M&Ms and then also put some in my pocket. So much so that this became kind of a running joke that they would hide them from me or leave little notes for me in there. And this was because I grew up with restriction. And, we all do the best that we can. I probably have way too much junk food in my cupboards now because I grew up with restriction. So I don't want my kids to experience restriction, but they probably don't have other things that they should probably have. So we're all just figuring it out. So no shade to my mom. That's just that was what she had. Who knows what she brought and why she did that. But that is one thing where I had to work through that. I grew up that way. So that was the information that I was programmed with. A lot of people have things around snacking. So that's how I think I got on that long thing, that you can only have certain kinds of snacks, or you can only snack at this time is the kind of approved snack time, and only this much, or we don't snack at all, or just any messages that you were given as a young person. And also another one is if you have a family member who maybe made comments about other family members, well, you don't want to be like that. Look at what they eat and look at them. Those seeds are planted in you. And then you grow up with those deeply rooted ideas of this is bad. This is wrong. I should not be doing that, even though it's probably fucking fine. But you were told, and in a shameful way, not that you were being shamed, and I'm sure some of you were, but if you heard other people being tisk-tisked or shamed, you took that on as probably a lens to look through. And you may feel shameful now when you make these silent judgments about people, because this all happens. We are very much human. And you may feel guilt when you think these things about people because you don't want to think that. You don't actually believe that, but it's something that was sort of ingrained in you, and these roots have taken hold. So we have to kind of pull and tug at these roots, but we also have to find the roots, because if this is a blind spot for you, then you have no idea that the information, the kind of programming that you have, if it's think of it like a computer program. If it's been programmed in you, you have to run a new program. You have to first be aware, like, oh, there's a virus here. And then we have to remove that one and then start reprogramming a new one. This also looks like social media. This is a huge one, that you follow all these nutrition people on social media. They say, drink this, put this powder in. Ooh, this will make you not be bloated. If you drink this every day for breakfast, you're going to lose 10 pounds. I did it. Look at me. Here's my before and after. This looks like they're showing you the meals that they're eating. Well, one, you don't know, are they eating anything else? Two, are they actually healthy? Like, are they healthy? Not say, I'm sure some of them aren't. I know darn well some of them are not. Some of them are, but their bodies are different. Maybe they're in an era, a space in life where this is okay that they eat this way. Maybe they're 20 years fucking younger than you, and they have time to do these things, but you're given all of this information of do this diet, take this pill, take this shake, wake up at this time, don't eat until this time, don't eat past this time. And then you're left there paralyzed, like, well, what the fuck am I supposed to do? Because one, I don't know where to start. Two, I've tried some of these things, right? You give it a good try, and a couple weeks in, you're like, well, that didn't work. Well, now I'm a failure because it worked for that person. Didn't work for me. And you attribute yourself again as something's wrong with me versus, girl, you got to listen to your own self, because that's who you really need to be listening to. You don't need to be listening to anybody other than yourself. And it's figuring out, how do you listen to yourself and tapping into what you already know. And that is a tricky thing if you have been used to outwardly giving other people your power and saying, well, you must know and you must know. And I'll even tell you, like, I don't fucking know. I don't know for you. I do know that I can pull it out of you. I do know that when I work with you, I can help you customize a plan for yourself, that I can help you tap into what maybe hasn't worked or you think will work. Because I guarantee if I say, what do you know for sure? What do you know for sure about your nutrition? What is not working right now? What do you need to do more of? What do you need to do less of? I guarantee you know, but you're giving all your power away to other people. But when we work together and you actually listen to yourself and you actually do what you know, or maybe you do need more information. Maybe you don't have a full picture, but there are things that you know. And stop giving that power away to external sources, or take your power back from when you didn't even know that these seeds were being planted in you and they're not fucking working. They're not working. They're causing harm to you. They're causing shame inside of you. They're causing binge eating inside of you. They're causing you to think about food when you don't need to be. Like, food should not be taking up this much of your energy. It should be like, unless you like, if you love cooking, fine. You daydream about that stuff. You cook that shit. You enjoy the hell out of it. But if you're going to someone's house to eat, or you're going to a restaurant, or you're making food and you're sitting there obsessing about the calories that are in it. And by obsessing, I don't mean like, oh, it feels good to me to be measuring and weighing and seeing calories and getting my macros. If that feels good, like good, by all means, that is what you should be doing, because you know that that feels good and that is working for you. But if you're shaming yourself, like, oh, there's bread on the table. I really want that bread, but I'm not going to have the bread because it's too much. It's carbs. I shouldn't be eating carbs, but I really want it. Oh, my husband's having it. Damn him. Can't they just take the bread away? Maybe if I just have one piece, I could just have one piece. I won't put any butter on it, and then I'll be okay. Just no, because if I have one piece, then I'm going to do this. And if you're doing that, if you have this like thought spiral that's happening, like I feel stressed right now just by going over that kind of fictional scenario. But I know that happens. I sat next to my husband and I went to Chicago for my birthday, and we're sitting in this amazing Italian restaurant. Okay. So good. I didn't even know how good it was. Some lady in the sauna told him about it when we were at the hotel, and he like told me, and I put in, I'm like, oh, it's close. Let's go. And so we're sitting there. We've already ordered our appetizer. There's bread on the table. Our dinner is being prepared. And this woman and her friend sit down. They're probably 24 maybe. And one woman is totally fine. Like, she is good. She knows what she's getting. And the other woman sitting across from her, the entire conversation, they had been there for at least 15, 20 minutes. They'd ordered their drinks and were waiting to order. All she did, she took the entire conversation about, should I get pasta? I really should have some vegetables. I should just eat a salad. And 20 minutes just going back and forth. And her friend, like, this lady obviously could not read the room because her friend was so uncomfortable. Like, just get what you want. But then she's like, do you want to share? And Lily's like, I don't want to share. I'm going to order when I'm going to order. But the agony that this woman was in, deciding whether she should get pasta or just eat a salad and vegetables, knowing that she needed it. Like, she's out to a great restaurant with a friend, and the topic of conversation is whether or not she should eat pasta. That's a waste of fucking time. That's a waste of your life energy. 100%. I don't want to tell anybody what they should be doing or shouldn't be doing, but that's just a fucking waste of your life. Like, you should not be spending that much energy all day long because you eat 3 fucking meals a day. This is not the first time that this woman has done that. I mean, you can just tell. And had she just had this idea of like, oh, okay, I'm at this restaurant. I am not going to shame myself. I'm going to enjoy it, because let me tell you, that lasagna was amazing. I'm going to enjoy the meal when I'm here. Maybe I'm going to eat half of it, because we know portions come way bigger than what I'm going to listen to my body. When I'm done, I'm going to get a to-go box. And then throughout my week, I'm going to eat some vegetables. Like, just because she's out doesn't mean she has to have the salad there. Make a freaking salad at home. Oh, it broke my heart listening to her. It was the most agonizing. And I wanted to just speak up. And had I had another cocktail in me, I may have just been like, eat the fucking pasta. Eat the fucking pasta. I did not. However, I kept my mouth shut because not my business. But if you are listening, this is my business, and you are my business, and you are here for it. So I mean, just you got to release it. You got to do the work around this. And I have been doing it for, 20 years. I still, do some work around it. It's kind of one of those continual rinse and repeat type things, but not nearly the intensity I had. So to that being said, don't feel like a failure if it doesn't happen right away because you learn something. I once saw this thing about every time you read a book, it's like dipping your hand in it and you come out and there's like stuff stuck to your hand. I probably butchered whatever that quote was, but every time you do something, every time you learn a little bit more, even if it doesn't make the weight drop off of you or you're not doing it 100%, you are still learning something. You are taking something away from it. You are shedding old patterns and creating new ones. And we're constantly evolving. So again, that goes back to that all or nothing thinking where you have to adjust. You have to think, okay, I'm not, even with this 4-week nutrition plan, I 100% guarantee you it will change things. And I just got off a call where I was like, oh my gosh, you changed my life. And it was just in a small way. I'm not, sitting on a mountaintop someplace. I'm still living my same life. However, there are certain areas that are 100% changed for the better. And in such an amazing, beautiful way. And in this Fresh Start 4-week nutrition program, it will change your life. And that just sounds so cliche, but it absolutely does. It shifts the way that you think. You will think differently about something and it will release that because even let's take the woman who was sitting at her dinner. Could you imagine how much time you would have back in your life if you were able to undo the pattern of overthinking about food? How much time do you waste obsessing about either what you're going to eat, how much you're going to eat, what you did eat? You free up so much space by taking away that food noise. And even if you just are able to do that and work on that, that's fucking life-changing. Life-changing. And it's something that I hope all of you listening either have done or are able to do because it's just it breaks my heart when that's a thing, especially then actually witnessing it happen out loud in real time. I was like, we should not live that way. It's just fucking irritates the hell out of me. And I hope to just change the world. If I could just change the world with just that one thing, my life would be a success. All right, moving on. So we had all or nothing thinking, information overload, and then the next one is repeating old patterns. And this kind of ties into all of the other things when I talked about, you had things going on as a kid. So a lot of times when we're repeating old patterns because of a mindset that we have, we're totally blind to it. You have no idea. There's no thought being put into it because you're 100% not even aware that this is something that you are dealing with. And when it comes to repeating old patterns, this could look like the idea, if you listen to my podcast about falling off the wagon, that is a mindset. That is a pattern. I'll give you my real life example. Yesterday, at the end of the day, gosh, it was late. I didn't eat dinner because I was gone and I was hungry. I didn't really have anything to eat. I had grilled chicken. I could have made a chicken salad, but I was like, I really don't want that. You want to know what I had? I had like 5 or 6 Oreos and I dipped them in milk. Okay. I didn't think about it again until this morning when I'm making my morning tea and I, rip open the tea bag and I throw the paper away and I see the Oreos in the trash. I was like, oh, that happened. Probably didn't need that many Oreos with milk. But literally after I shut the door of the garbage, I never thought about it again until just right now to share that story with you. And if you have the mindset and the pattern of, well, I fell off the wagon, as soon as you were reminded of that, you likely would go into a shame spiral. And that would probably impact your eating for the rest of the day because you already screwed up. You already fell off the imaginary wagon. So what's the point? And let me tell you, that can completely shift. That is a mindset that you have got a lot of practice with. That is a habit, a way of being that you have practice with. The idea that, okay, if I'm not all or nothing, then it's not working. It's not worth doing because I'm not doing it right. But that is just a pattern. That's just something that you have repeated over and over and over. And if you know anything about people who repeat things over and over and over again, they start to believe it even if it's not true. And this is true with even the ways that you are thinking. So if there are any nutritional patterns that you have that are not working for you, we can undo them and then create new patterns for you, new ways of thinking, taking out and kind of washing away. The other day, somebody was like talking about what I do. And I said, like, I want to scrub all the women's minds, like just scrub them clean. And that's essentially when we're talking about repeating old patterns. It's like, how can we scrub it clean? How can we give you, not even intentional, how can we give you a fresh start? But truly, how can we scrub your old way of thinking clean and give you a fresh start? Because it doesn't have to be this way. You don't have to keep repeating the old patterns and then attributing it to, well, that's just me. I always do it that way. No, it doesn't have to be that way. And it starts with you having a different way of thinking of, oh, I may have been that way, but that doesn't mean I have to keep living from what I may have done. I can make a different choice and I can be different. And that's going to be uncomfortable, but that's okay. Because the more you get comfortable being uncomfortable, the more opportunity you have for sustained change, the more opportunity you have for growth. And it's just a muscle. We're all conditioned to want to be comfortable in our patterns and our habits. And that's why this is a tricky one, because we want to be comfortable. And the habits that we have, the ways of thinking that we have, are comfortable to us, even though it's to our detriment. They're not working for us. And so it takes acknowledging that this is not working for me. And I'm also going to have a willingness to be uncomfortable and practice thinking a different way. And really, that's all it is practice. It's just like, when you learn to walk or ride a bike or anything that is new, you're doing something new. So to expect perfection is absolutely absurd. You will fall down. You will not do it right, but you're going to learn something and that didn't work. Let me try it differently. When you go at it from this mindset of, okay, well, I'm just exploring something new. This is just practice. I'm trying this on. Then there's no judgment. You're releasing the judgment. There's no fault in you. There's nothing wrong with you. You're just trying something different. And if what you currently are doing hasn't worked, isn't working, then it's fucking time to do something differently. And it's time to have a partnering with people. I was just a guest on a podcast with Dana Fay, who has the Ordinary Magic podcast. We're part of the same podcasting network. And one of the cool things that happened when we were there, she was kind of doing my human design reading, and I had all these epiphanies. And I had already had kind of these ideas in my head or questions where I've sort of been turning them over in the last month or so. And actually speaking out loud and having that kind of volley back and forth made me change. Like even in that 1 hour podcast recording that we did, I have so many new understandings and I'm going to be different. So when I say life changing, that interview changed my life because I will do things differently. And it's sort of this grand way of thinking, but I truly believe that I will be different now. I will have different outcomes in my life because we had that partnership back and forth in talking. And first, that comes with kind of that willingness. So that's where this Fresh Start 4-week program, you have other people that you get to hear, and you also have the opportunity to create that sort of out loud, getting everything out of your head. And when you speak it out loud, there is so much wisdom and learning and shifts that can happen. Or when you hear somebody else talking, this is one of the things I hear in my women's coaching circle every single session, is that they hear either me coaching a person or when somebody else is sharing, other people have these epiphanies, these, aha, wait a second. I don't have the same story as you, but I have this. And now I think differently about this. And then you leave a completely changed person. You absolutely are. And it kind of ripple effects out to the rest of your life. So I hope if any of this has kind of resonated with you, that you will join me in the Fresh Start 4-week program that starts on June 11th. It is 1 week from the drop of this podcast. And you can sign up all the way until June 11th, but I would say sign up sooner than later because I will be sending information to people and I want you to get that. But again, it's only $99, like a no-brainer. Send this to your friends. If you have a friend like the lady that I eavesdropped on at the Italian restaurant, send this with some heart emojis and love saying this might be helpful for you, but invite them to the Fresh Start course and they can participate right along with you. So if you have friends that have these same struggles, then please share this with them and invite them to join. I will have the link for the Fresh Start program in the show notes. Otherwise, it is on my website, aleciajacobson.com. You can find it there too. And I hope to see you there. I would love it if you shared this episode, if this hit with you, if you would like to have this message go out to the masses, which is my goal for women, because we have such more important things to tackle in life than having to have our brain space taken up by things that have no purpose there. They have no right to be there. And my goal and part of this is that we allow space for the things that deserve a seat at the table and the stuff that's just stealing the time from your life, that we get the fuck out. That is my goal. So with that, I leave you and I hope to see you in the Fresh Start course. And I hope you have a lovely rest of your day. Thank you, badasses. All right, my beautiful and loyal listeners, I am here asking you for a favor. The Spirit of a Badass podcast has been nominated for Best of Madison. There are 6 podcasts in this category, and only 3 will make it on to Best of. So you don't get to be a badass by yourself. We get here by the support of other people in our community, and I am asking you, my beautiful community, to take about 2 minutes of your time, follow the link in the show notes, and go ahead and cast your vote for the Spirit of a Badass. If you are driving or something like that, go ahead and set an alarm for when you'll be done or a time in the future that you know you will be able to take a few minutes and cast your vote. Thank you, thank you, thank you, my wonderful, wonderful listeners. Spirit of a Badass is a Lit Path Studios podcast and is produced by Jamie Gale and Alecia Jacobson. Music by Shane Ivers. We'll be back with another inspiring interview. Until then, keep your spirits high and your energy badass.